Hi everybody, this is Henry Perez Alonso and I'm here with the Take 5 Challenge. That's right, it's the opportunity for me to show you what taking 5 with another professional looks like. A few years back, I challenged a group of Parks and Rec professionals to take 5 minutes a month to intentionally connect with one another. That's right, whether it be through a coffee walk, a phone call, whatever it may be, but some sort of intentional opportunity that they took to ensure that they just met, right? So they talked, they met, and with the idea that we sharpen each other. As iron sharpens iron, we sharpen each other, and we make each other better. So that's what this show is all about, is really an opportunity to show you what it looks like to have that, I don't know, hallway conversation or that, quick-hitted topic conversation, whatever it may be. But it really is just for me to show you what I think a Take 5 looks like and what, hopefully what it will inspire you to take 5 with somebody. Again, this is for our Parks and Rec profession. This show is brought to you by the California Parks and Recreation Society and the Push to Play Network, and I'm just so grateful for them. Today's show, super pumped. I get a chance and opportunity to take 5 with Annie Frisoli. I hope you enjoy what you gather from our conversation, but this is very dynamic lady that I recently saw speak at the California Parks and Rec Society conference, and I'm just so pumped to have that opportunity to get involved in a conversation with her. So when I come back, we'll be with Annie. Welcome back to the Take 5 Challenge. Again, I'm so excited, like I told you earlier, to be meeting with my guest. Annie, welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Henry, for spending time together.
Well, I'm pretty pumped, actually. And if you don't mind, for those 3 to 4 people that actually watch this thing, can you tell them who you are?
Oh, I love it. Hello, 3 to 4 people. We are so excited you're here. As you can see, my name's Annie Frisoli. I'm the founder and CEO of Creating Community LLC, which is a leadership and culture development organization that serves park, recreation, and event professionals.
I dig that. And I know that, so as I introed this earlier, I stated how I got to see you at the California Park and Rec Society as our keynote address. And it was, I was fascinated. And I dug it, and I loved your energy, and I said I need to meet this person, and I need to invite her to just have a chat. And again, just so you know, and I sort of told you this before, but the Take 5 Challenge is really simple. It's something that I did when I was part of the California Park and Rec Society board. I challenged the association to take 5 minutes a month to really intentionally connect with one another. And we were able to connect over 600 people throughout the state throughout the year that they just really took the time. And I said take 5, but we all know connecting with someone takes more than 5 minutes. But it was a challenge, and we did have those folks get together, and just over the years now, I've really kind of built relationships beyond that, because that was back in 18, 19. But since then, I'm trying to use this podcast as kind of modeling what that Take 5 looks like. And for us these days, I think professionals, a lot of times it's those, those hallway conversations, or when we find someone, all of a sudden we get on this little small topic and just kind of go with it and roll with it. And we learn so much from each other, and it makes us better. So really at the end of the day, to me, like iron sharpens iron, I want to be sharpened and help. It goes both ways though. So it's like, as much as I learn, want to learn from someone, I hope that I, even give them my 2 cents in how it's all about. So that's what we're here for. And I wanted to make sure that I kind of set the stage for your brain as well, as you're going, what the heck is this dude calling me for again? It's been a few weeks and he really did call. Now it's kind of,
No, I love it. And kudos. I know we were at the social when we talked about this. Yeah. I did not remember, not because we were at the social, just because there was a lot going.
Understood.
I didn't realize the numbers the 600 that you all connected people. That's amazing.
That's what there's been more throughout the years, because we've really tried to keep the program going. But I think because it wasn't a me issue. It really was, I think our profession and our folks need that connection. And to me, to be able to model it this way is really, this is a personal project for me. It's like, I love this because I love the opportunity to talk to people and learn and know who they are, and then maybe dive in deeper about little parts of them. And I think that with you, I'm like, this is someone I need to chat with. So, because we are now new best friends and all that stuff. So
it is true.
So there is that.
I don't know if the listeners knew that until now. Well,
I know, but now they know, right? Now they know, and they can see this dynamic and how this relationship is forming and dealing with. That's the part I dig. So it's like, hey, look at that. Just right in front of you, right before your very eyes. That's what they talk about. So let me ask you this, because this is something, I know that you are a developer of leaders, which, leadership is one of I love it. It's my jam, right? I dig this stuff. But I was, you got to do a little, I looked you up. So, kind of did that thing. So I just checked out some stuff, and I was very fascinated by a couple things that you write about, even on your website. It's kind of like building culture is one thing that I think that is very important to me. And I think that a lot of people, it's a topic that people kind of brush over a little bit in the Parks and Rec field, but they're living it, they're breathing it, and they're making it. But I don't know how intentional everybody is to make it. And I think that for me to know that there's someone out there that's saying, hey, not only am I going to teach you a little about leadership, let's talk about culture and culture building. And I guess for me, it's like, how did that come about for you? Like, how did that topic, come and go, I want to talk about this?
Oh, gosh. That's a good question. And do the listeners know that we don't get prepped for the questions? which
is a beautiful thing, like a take five, right? If you're sitting there with someone, this is what happens. Yeah. You just start talking.
Yeah, I wanted to validate that this is a true take five with this. I think I can probably start with, look, way back when. No, yeah. Honestly, I don't know where it came from. I've always been fascinated by humans and people. Yeah. And I love to connect to them. I love to learn more. I love the lessons, exactly what you're saying. So I would have to just say there's some sort of innate that I don't know where it came from that is really about it. Then the next piece of this is just whether it was in the organizations that I existed in, and then when I started the business, the observation of it, kind of showing how much culture can either elevate and make us more efficient to get to those goals. So you heard me say it's more than a feeling, because sometimes the culture work gets pushed to the side. And I'm a big believer in, there's a human at the center of every employee, and if we can speak to that human, the work will get done. And I just, I think, blessed to get my head straight here, just the innate love of it, but then to also show it's happening. So culture's being designed, whether you're intentional or not. You can get really lucky and just have a bunch of epic people, and the intention is just individually set and it works as a group. But I've been in enough organizations, unfortunately, as wonderful as professionals as we are, I've been in enough organizations to say that it'll start to get designed, but in a direction that you don't want it to go into. And then to me, again, that now we're starting to hit budgets. Culture impacts budgets. Now we're impacting our community because we're maybe letting money go out the door that's really more culture issues than it is, registration numbers or membership fees.
That's interesting. I'd never thought of it that way, but I think that you're absolutely true. There are things that if we build something or let something be built in a certain way, that you're losing out on what you can provide. And I look at the cultures, and because some of them, I start to reflect, okay, I've had the opportunity to lead, and I've led for a number of years with the what I call the town up north, which is 2 exits away. And then I'm in my current role for the last almost 8 months now. So I'm really kind of, I had that challenge for myself as a leader before I left, saying, can I do this somewhere else? What I built here, is it possible to go somewhere else? So I really feel like the culture I try and build or try and have is one of team, but really one of learning. Lifelong learning. That's me. I love that. What's the next thing that I can kind of get into my brain? But it's having a teaching hospital. I love, what is it, the Grey's Anatomies and the other, the Scrubs, all those teaching hospitals where there's someone that is learning along the way. And it's not, I want you to learn so you can be the best while you're with me. But if that means sometimes you got to go to grow, then it's no heartburn on me. But what I do want is that if you happen to go from me, and you're going somewhere and someone sees that city you're from that I know that I was part of with you, and they go, oh, I want to at the very least, I want to talk to them. I'm like, look, I'm going to try and make you competitive. That's what we're trying to build here, but I can't promise you're getting the job. But it'd be really cool if what we teach and learn from each other brings about that reputation and that culture of knowing, hey, you're going to get somebody that's good. So now, looking at what you're saying, bringing that over here to this new agency full of absolute rock stars. So that's it. Now, how do I still do that? How do I still have that teaching hospital feel to people who already know are operating on a high level? It's just a matter of shifting their thought process with me, because growth looks different to different people. But the human centered of it all, which I also read about you, the human centered leadership, I loved that. So I'm like, I dig it. And I'm telling you, the reason it's like I'm looking in a mirror, because I feel like what you're saying is like what I feel. I'm like, yes, what she says, people.
And vice versa. I'm listening, absorbing everything you're sharing too.
So I think that's cool. And I also love the, I think, and you've seen enough organizations and kind of maybe trained up enough, is that human-centered leadership missing, or is it just something that they don't think about? Does that make sense? I'm like, it's like, is it even there, or is that truly born out of the leader who leads them? If I can say leader as many times in one sentence.
That's a good question. Okay. So say it again. So make sure I stay focused, because I have so many things.
But I want you to go wherever you want to go. So that's the best part.
No, give me the it'll still go. Don't worry, Henry. Say it again. So this
particular one. So when we're talking about human-centered leadership, you've seen enough organizations that are out there. Is this something that is happening, or is it not happening, or is the leader who's leading them has no clue on what that really means, or even how to get there? Is it missing? I guess at the end of the day, is it missing? You tout it as something that's important to you, so that means that it's missing somewhere. But are you actually seeing it, or is it just undeveloped? I guess is I don't know. That's 7 different ways to ask 3 different questions.
Yeah. And this is an honest answer.
Yeah.
It is thriving in some organizations, and it is missing in others. And I think that's why I'm on this journey.
Yeah.
Right. To make it exist. And it's interesting. I get invited into 2 organizations. One where the leaders do believe, and they do know that culture is an important piece, and developing your leaders, and what may get categorized as the feel good. So I'll get invited into groups who are already high performers. They want to continue. They want to continue that, or it is the complete opposite, meaning it doesn't exist. And those, and I would probably say the others, there's probably enough people trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It is existing. There's resistance, and people know this. I come in to do what you all would call a staff development day or a team retreat day. I'll walk into a room, and there's a percentage that they visibly let me know. I feel, and their leaders know. It's not so much about me, because I'm in and out. They can let the room know they don't think it's important.
Right.
And so therefore I'm like, if you show up that way that day, how are you, how is that then existing even further? This is not to, I never want people to think when I come in and talk about culture or leadership that it's in opposition of the work that needs to get done.
Right.
I always look at it as, let's make sure we're looking at both versus just one. Because I will hear, well, everyone's just here to, get paid, and they should do their job. And I'm like, if it was that simple, it would be that simple. Yeah. And it's not. Humans, we're messy. We are emotional first, logical second. And so even just that's a cue for a leader.
Yeah.
Recognizing that your team, they're emotional first, logical second. That's just human nature. So therefore, that's gonna show up, and that's where the culture, it has to be there, because that's how we're all responding in these situations. Work isn't just work. It isn't just logic for people, and there might be 1 out of the 4 people listening to this that they'll disagree with me, and that's fine. It's up for debate. I don't ever say anything I say is the way, it's a way. Right?
Yeah. No, but that's the whole thing, right? I think that's what we need to learn, that as part of learners, is taking what Annie says, taking what Henry says, taking what, Joe Schmuckatelli says, and bring it all together and go, okay, hey, here's something that I want to build on me. So I am I am mirroring many things from many leaders, that I took from both ends, right? It's like, yeah, I kind of want to be like that dude, and nope, and all those things. But recognizing what you just said about the emotions first, that's huge. And I can see how that connects with that human center first. Like, look, I know I'm about to tell you guys that we're going through this whole organizational change. And as cool as it looks on paper to have you guys all have these job opportunities, I know then the feels come in. So, and it's, how do we as leaders ride those feels so that we can help it, kind of hit nice and land nicely onto the sand, on the beach of fun, right? So something along those lines.
It's the humans that have to get the work done. So I'm like, speak to the humans, not just the task, because the humans are going to get the task. I'm really passionate. So I'm over the top, Henry. When you ask me questions, No,
I'm in. So that's what I'm saying. I am in. So for me, it's like, this is one of my favorite things to talk about, and just, recognizing those humans and recognizing, how it matters. I was having a conversation today with one of the one-on-ones with, one of my teammates, and just saying, hey, I know that I threw this out at a staff meeting recently. And I said, hey, by the way, just so you guys all know, you're all going to change jobs at some point here within this organization while I'm here. Just wanted to let you guys know that. And just let it sit. And so I would say that was, intentional. And, it's not today that the changes come. It's not even tomorrow. You just need to all recognize that we shouldn't be getting so comfortable in the role that we're in. And at the same time, tell me that I'm stuck. When I'm telling you, we're going to do stuff different, because I want to build a whole person, a whole professional, not just a one-trick pony. I don't want to be a one-trick pony, right? I think the only reason why I can sit in the position that I am is because I worked preschools, I worked teens and youth and camps and aquatics and seniors, and got my, toe dipped into the arts and culture things. Like, if I didn't do all those things, I wouldn't be able to speak to or have that empathy or whatever it is that I need to have as a, human-centered leader. So, see how I did that? Just kind of brought back your words.
I appreciate it. No, I think even that, you saying that to your team, I think it's really strategic, and I think it's really smart, because I think as leaders, you have so many opportunities and this is gonna not sound human-centered, but there's strategy and leadership, but you're cueing, and you have opportunity to cue. I had a really good leader, because oftentimes you know when change is coming before the rest of your team, and he was really good he probably knew things maybe 6 months before maybe it had to be announced. And he was just really good about going and just having one-on-one conversations. Yep. And it was just, I thought I was just I was having a conversation with my boss, not knowing he was being strategic. So therefore, right, when the change came, it wasn't this brand new, right, because people actually don't like change in terms of just human behavior. And so it wasn't all of a sudden a big change. I'm like, oh, we actually had that conversation, and I think I added to that conversation. So I love just you making really good use too of your time with your team to give a cue like that. And I'm not saying you look at it as a cue, but I see it as super intentional and strategic as a leader. I
would say yes, it is intentional, and it is intended to break up the thought process that they would have, or the comfort level, in the best of ways. And it really is. I know that there's the people that will need to hear, hey, in 2 years, I'm going to swap you. And then there's the others that are going, hey, look, we have an opportunity right now. And because of this opportunity, this is what my thought is. And this is what I'm thinking. And more, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, it's also built off of what they told me they wanted. So it's already built off of, like, I think I asked them all, what do you want to be when you grow up? If you want to, like, there's some that say, I want to be a director one day. I want to be a supervisor one day. I want to be a city manager one day. It's like, okay, all of those things are on my radar now. And it's like, okay, if this particular role, whether you think it works or not, will allow you to understand more what your next role is. Or even, hey, being a city manager, one day, because really you're taking what I do and, timesing it by 10 and then making it bigger. So I think there is some strategy to it, and that's part of part of the stuff that I love. And when I look at leadership and hear, things like what you've got going on with, the human-centered stuff and building culture. And I don't know if you've ever seen, and I've said this story to many other people, but have you ever seen the show Queen's Gambit? where the young lady,
yes.
so she's looking up and seeing all the chess pieces move. I feel like I quite often I'm staring up in the space and I'm watching people go from one position to another and going, okay, I can do this, I can do that, and I can play. It's like the mental org chart that's up there, but I feel like my mind works that way. And I try and share that. I'm sharing that more now that, I'm older and more crusty. And I'm like, I'll just tell everybody what I want.
So transparency.
Yeah. Is that what it is? Dang.
Yeah.
So that's what they respond to. Okay. So, but I think it's just kind of an interesting thing to kind of have that out there and really kind of say, look, this is my process. So, when it's your turn that you're going to have it, you're going to do it your way. But, if there's anything you can take from me, know that it is thoughtful, intentional, and not intended to be a big pain in the butt for you. It really is, I'm looking after you in the best way that I can while I have that responsibility.
Love it. I love that metaphor too. I'll probably quote you somewhere, right, with that chess looking up.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch. I love that show. Watched it with my parents, that's a great visual to prompt for leaders.
Yeah.
And I think leaders I think it's a really good visual too for those that are upcoming into leadership to know that it doesn't just happen just because we're older.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it just like it's luck or we just know automatically how it's going to happen. You're sitting and having that thought process. So again, those that are earlier in their years of leadership know, and just like a game of chess, you might have to move things a couple of different times before you get to that final outcome.
Yeah.
Not knowing that there's one way to go about it too.
Absolutely. And then also recognizing that, although you may look at, I'm not trying to say I look at you as a chess piece. No, you're really, you're a piece that matters, and the intentional movement of where you're going to go makes a difference. You may be, the knight that can only go in L shape. I don't know, but I want to make sure that you can cruise through the way, some other pieces go through. It's fun, but it is the one thing that I can I'm looking at that, and I can tell you right now, I'm looking at a couple of different people because I'm looking at possibilities and opportunities. And I have, in the concentrated time of the last 8 to 9 months, because I'm new here, have been able to just, hey, I'm doing something different. I'm the first, I think, in 20 plus years, first outside director that they've had. So that says a lot, and they're used to a certain way. So here comes, nut cake, let's go. Let's go do this thing. And
Wild card, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. But they were all ready for it and waiting for it because they're strong professionals that are like, okay, well, I'll trust you for now, but I got to keep building on that trust too, which I think is important.
That never goes away.
I think that's cool. There's a couple other things that kind of struck me about you that I really love, and one of them is about your group of 12, I think it is, and that connection. So I have a question about that, but before I go there, default leadership. What is that?
Oh gosh, it is right. It's just in the literature, you'll see that I think it's like 65 to 88% of our behaviors daily are default. Right, and it's like the book Thinking Fast and Slow is a really good reference to this type. Yeah. And to me, when I'm talking about intentional, we have to be careful that I like to shake up the defaults because we have so many of them. We need them. So I'm not erasing it totally, but we have so many defaults in terms of Henry says this to me, I right away I'm like, no, yep, that's Henry. And I'm like, challenge yourself there. Like I said, I do this facilitation. I'm in front of teams all the time. You can just hear, right, these default behaviors, and I'm really big, kind of what you just alluded to. You're coming in and probably shaking up what were, and again, not for bad reason, a lot of default behaviors in terms of how we've done it. So I'm really big leadership by design. We design it. We have to make sure, again, we need defaults for efficiency purposes, but being self-aware enough as a leader to know when we're only falling into default and we're not playing the chess game and we're not designing. Yeah, this is my new. There's more to come on this because I noticed it in myself. So let me be clear. I'm not just saying this of others. Yeah.
No, I loved it. Like that struck me. That I'm like default leadership, and it was just like, okay, what is it? And I had an idea, but I really wasn't sure. I wanted to hear it from the expert. It's like, what is that? But now it's like, they're 100% absolutely things that I just will automatically go boop. That's it. But because of where I want to be, I think I challenge that for myself and going, okay, is that the only way? Let's think about this a little bit more. And, you know, I'm doing a lot of has that been past practice? Is that what we've been doing? Because, you know, if it's not, you know, and if it is, should we still be? So been able to have those conversations of late, which I think is really cool. So, but no, all right, default leadership, you know, don't just fall in, you know, challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself, create a culture where you can challenge each other. I think too is the other piece of that. But yeah, you just see it. Yeah. You'll see, and people dig in because I'll go back, right? There's confirmation bias. We actually want to confirm what it is we already know. Yeah. Most often versus dive into that unknown. We like comfort.
That we do. Give me that weighted blanket, please.
And I do. I have a blanket I use every night when I sit in the recliner, and that's the one I like. But in my leadership, I have to be real careful that I don't always default, whether it's assumptions of others, whether it's on processes or systems, whether or not people are going to respond a certain way, me even making those assumptions. It's all the things.
Well, I get it. And I just want to kind of close our time in this particular topic because I think this is super cool. And I think that none of us do anything alone. And I think it's super important for us as professionals to remember that. I mean, the fact that we, as an association, you know, in California and even, you know, NRPA National, there are connections, there are things that we try and do to build ourselves up. But it's more than that. I think you have, and what you, either the Gang of 12, Group of 12, I don't know the Dirty Dozen, which is fantastic. What is the Dirty Dozen? And okay, tell me what you can about the Dirty Dozen, and tell me how important it is to who you are and what you do.
It's a group of professionals in Parks and Recreation, specifically. We all were in a larger environment together. It was more of a summit type environment. And from there, we dwindled down to this group of 12. We did have someone that led the charge. It was not me. Right. That kind of narrowed us to this subgroup. And it was really just to continue to have more in-depth conversations over our work. To your point, we don't do this alone. And so we have 9 directors across the U.S. One, I believe, recreation manager is by title. Some titles have changed, so I have to make sure. And then 2 that are what we call Parks and Recreation adjacent. So we work alongside your organizations. So that's who we are. We tend to not say names. Sometimes people can piece us together. They've heard 2 of us talk about the Dirty Dozen, and they're like, "There's 2. I know 2 of you." Anyways, the importance. Oh my gosh, I think to you alluded to it. Better together, right? That whole is but it's just this space we've done. We did a retreat together. We all met in a house in Scottsdale. Nice. But we was still designed. But we were, we had to cook the meals. Oh, your light went out in your office, didn't it? Did your light go out? Who froze up? Me or you? Somebody's frozen. Can you hear me? Oh, hello. Hello, everyone. I'm going to give just a quick update as to what's happening here since I'm on the screen and we think it's recording. Henry's electricity went out at his facility and he's been bumped off the call, but he's on my phone right here and I have him on speakerphone.
I love that. Hey, everybody. Thanks. Hey, we were just right in the middle of, and this is going to be an editor's dream for, I believe, Alicia to edit for us. But I was just asking about the Dirty Dozen and the importance of it. I think we got a couple of it, but maybe just to kind of let everybody know again, how important is that to you in getting what you needed done and what you think is to get done for those people in the Dirty Dozen?
Yeah, and I'll say, in terms of the importance, probably twofold. There's a little bit, right? There's the knowledge base. So that's the one. We can just ask these questions and get some answers, get really good answers. And then from 2, it's the lightheartedness, it's the fun, it's the laughter. It's a place where we can do accolades and you can show off a little bit, because one of our roles as leaders is to be a little humble, and this is a space outside of your team members where you can go and be like, hey, look at this, and then it's just funny, right? And then there's just some good memes and fun stuff that goes. But it's also personal. People share celebrations too of their family, not just of the work. So it's full, right? It's full circle with this particular group.
So I love that. I love that so much, and I appreciate that you have that, and it kind of inspires me to either find my own dozen, or hey, do you guys need a baker's dozen? Let me know.
You will.
Because we'll go that route too. But this so much, and actually, hopefully they are catching this on the page. And I just, as I say, to end off our things, I really do appreciate the time that you took with me, and I do ask this question of all my guests. It is the Take 5 Challenge. Annie, can I challenge you to take 5 with someone else? Either I connect you with someone, or, we're taking 5 again, or, just knowing that you're going to intentionally out there connect with another professional.
All three. So me and you can connect me with somebody, and I have a couple what I call coffee chats already set up for the week. But I can add one more to make sure it's part of the challenge.
I love that. And where can someone get a hold of you if they wanted to get a hold of you?
Honestly, I thank you for that question. My website is just my name, AnnieFrisoli.com. The spelling of that will probably come up somewhere. That's probably the easiest. And then from there, my phone number is listed on there, or you can send in an email and we can talk more. And I love talking anything, really pretty much anything, but I would say talking shop too.
I love that. And again, I am so grateful. And what a wild way to kind of finish this bad boy off. I do hope it is recorded, because that would be even super fantastically cool. And just what a wild ride on this Take 5. And it just goes to show you, it's never predictable in our profession, and even in our connections and our intentions. So I just want to thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with me today for that time. I wish I could see you to wave by, but this is just how it goes this time.
Sounds good. This was epic. It appears as though it's picking your recording up, but we'll see what happens afterwards.
We will see what happens. Hey, I may have to call you back to finish off the last 5 seconds, but we'll be okay where this goes. But I hope this finishes off really well. I do look forward to chatting with you again, and thank you so much. And for the rest of you that can hear me, I will be back to kind of close off with my final thoughts when the lights get back on. So we'll be back.
Hurry, pay the bills, all right?
Will do.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Power. Funny thing happened along the way with my Take 5 with Annie was that the power went down, and you saw that last little bit there. But I did want to kind of finish up and talk about some of the things that kind of really resonated with me as I had that time to Take 5. I got to sit there, again, super excited that I had an opportunity to speak to Annie, to be a part of her world for a moment. I think she's super fascinating. I love the idea of culture building that she does. The fact that there's that human-centered leadership that is really important about things that she shares and teaches and believe in. I love meeting folks that are like-minded, right? And I think that is something that motivates and motivated me to ensure that I continue to look after the people that I serve, right? And how am I doing that? Remembering that they are people that first come emotions, right? And then we have to recognize that as leaders and be prepared for that. Overall, to dive in and remember at the center of it all, again, is the people, which I completely appreciate. And then again, at the end of the day, is that recognize that we don't do this alone, right? That there is your own dirty dozen that you may be looking for or trying to gravitate towards, or a collective of folks that are out there that can keep you honest, keep you accountable, and keep you creative, and all of those things. And I think this recognizing that there are people out there in this world that do that already should motivate us to do the same and be the same. So I just encourage you to think about that in your walk right now, in your journey. And I do appreciate you taking the time to come out here and Take 5 and just watch and learn. Because again, the intention for us is to connect, to model what Take 5 looks like, for you to connect with other people intentionally so that we can sharpen each other and make each other better. I do want to thank CPRS and the Push to Play Network for having us here and for allowing us to take 5 with the guests that I have, but then also with you. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time on the Take 5 Challenge.